welcome back to Sustained Overruled. I am the anonymous attorney. All right, so I figured we might as well get into the ASAP Rocky trial. Let me just find that. There we go. Okay, I waited and waited and waited today. It was scheduled because I logged on pretty early. You guys know I go to work early. I was at work around 7, and when I got to work, I looked at what was scheduled on Law and Crime Trials, and they had the ASAP Rocky trial scheduled. So I do not know why it was not aired. I don't have real social media apart from YouTube and YouTube and Reddit. So I could not really find any information. I still cannot find information as to why the trial did not live stream. But anyways, we're going to cover the opening statement. We'll probably do prosecution and then defense we'll do tomorrow. But during the day, I was following the Cochran trial. There's a lot going on there. I've also been following at least parts of. There's a case out of Georgia. It's on 11 Alive, where the defendants on trial, they actually just, I believe they arrested. Yeah, I think the jury's deliberating in that case. I've been going back and forth. But the defendants in that case are accused of, murking they're murking, I believe he was a coach or something along those lines. He was just home visiting, if I'm not mistaken, and he never made it. So it's an attempted robbery that went bad. But again, I've been in and out of that trial. It's not there are no fireworks, okay? There are no real fireworks. So I've just been in and out. In any event, let's quickly begin with ASAP Rocky, okay? For background, I don't know. What's up, Brooklyn? Brooklyn wants to know if I'll be back tonight. Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I have to clean up my YouTube. By cleaning up, I mean deleting some videos. I'm not happy about that. Not happy about that because I'll be deleting over 9 million views. So I'm really not happy about that. But I know how I can. I have a plan for that. I have a plan for that. In any event, highly unlikely I'll be back tonight because I have to do some background stuff on YouTube. And again, I'm not available the last week of February. So I do have to get started on some pre-recorded videos that I'll upload and schedule. I considered taking my laptop to Cuba. I don't know that I'll have I don't think I'm gonna have internet, so I'm not sure. It's probably not worth it. Yeah, so I'm probably just doing this, and I highly doubt that I come back tonight because again, I'm still cleaning Zeta's room. The girl's room is a mess, but that's because I'm just cleaning out her closet, so that's gonna take me a while. Unlikely that I'll come back tonight. Okay, but let's quickly recap. So Rihanna's husband is on trial, or he was on trial. I don't know why they didn't stream. I don't know why they didn't stream the trial today. I have suspicions, but I don't know. I need confirmation because conspiracy theorists. In any event, he is accused of, firing a firearm near his childhood friend, ASAP Rally. Listen, I followed ASAP I've followed ASAP here and there. They do have every once in a while there's something going on with them. I don't know what the real issue is, but there's every once in a while there's something going on. The last time that I was really into them, I think there was a time when what's the kid? A kid out of Georgia. I think that kid's out of Georgia. Ian Connor. I don't know where Ian Connor's from, but I think yeah. So Brooklyn says, I think everybody is over a Catch channel. That's fantastic. Okay. People can watch the replay, but I'm definitely not coming back tonight. Okay. I'm not coming back tonight. Yeah, Ian Connor. Now I'm just rambling. Let's get into this. I think I'm sharing my screen. You guys know I can talk, and I'm working in the background, so less talking. Why is that? Oh, I'm waiting for it to.
Opening statements.
There we go.
The if you're inclined to be a note taker, it's not necessary to take notes during the opening statement, because the opening statement is not evidence. The opening statement is what the attorney believes the evidence will show. Whether the evidence in fact shows what they believe, well, we'll all know that at the end of the case. Once the opening statements are over and we begin with the testimony, if you are a note taker, that would be the time to start taking notes. Mr. Prislovic, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
What's the prosecutor's name? Oh no, I can look it up.
I'm going to start off by, on behalf of myself, Mr. Lewin, I'm sure on behalf of the defense too, and all the court staff, we all want to thank you so far for the time, attention, and candor that you gave to us during jury selection. We all understand that was a long process, and we appreciate your attention. After going through that long process.
Okay, so Brooklyn wants to know what I know about Joe Tacopina. I don't know more apart from what I've heard on the Midas Touch, because I think it's Ben Meiseles has talked about him a lot. I think not lately, but from my recollection, hold on, I think he was tied to Donald Trump one way. I cannot remember which trial it was, but if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that didn't he abandon Donald Trump? I think I know he represented Trump at some point. I just don't remember. It has to be one of those New York cases, though. I think was a Yeah, I don't think it was a federal cases. I think it was one of the New York. I think it was one of the New York cases. So that's what I remember. I know he's somehow tied to Donald Trump and he represented Donald Trump. That's as far as I know. Other than that, I don't know much about him apart from commentary from Ben Meiseles on the Midas Touch Network.
I'm sure some of you are thinking, wow, this must be a difficult case, or this must be a really complicated case. And to be fair to you, if I was sitting in your position and I looked out on the number of jurors that we started with, or even the number of attorneys that are up here, I'd probably have the same thought myself. But what the evidence will show in this case, and what will become almost instantly clear, is that this is not a complicated case. The evidence will show that the events in this case were captured on surveillance video. I'm going to start this whole presentation out by playing the video for you. So you will have that frame of reference as we're talking about different features, the people that were involved, the locations that are involved, and what happened. You will already have seen the video. The first video that I'm going to show you was captured on November 6th of 2021 at around 10:10 p.m. just outside of a parking garage entrance, mid-block, so on Argyle, in the middle of Argyle, between Hollywood Boulevard and Selma. The second video that I'm going to show you was captured 7 minutes later, so at 10:17. It was, if we're being generous, 2 blocks, maybe.
I'm still here. I'm just reading emails in the background. Hold on.
1 city block.
Maybe I should have started this around 4:30 or something. Let me think. I mean, I already started the live, so there's no need to really stop it. I've billed most of my hours already, okay? That's why I feel comfortable coming on here, because I'm past 8 hours already, past 8 hours. Yeah, but I still have to read some emails.
Away from the first location, down Argyle, around Selma, at a small intersection called Selma and Vista Del Mar. So I'm going to play the first video for you, that outside of the parking lot.
Yeah, my focus is never really on the theory of the case. I focus more on the evidence that is actually presented. So I guess we're about to find out what the prosecution has. Again, ASAP Rocky, he was offered 180 days incarceration. He declined the offer, and now he's facing 24 years incarceration if he is convicted. The trickiest part here is the eyewitness testimony. Okay, that's going to be tricky for ASAP Rocky. That's definitely going to be tricky. There's where's the video? Is it this video? Let me see. You guys know I'm all over. Why is it set up like that? I don't like that. Okay, there we go. Hold on. Is it here? I don't know. There's an interesting comment that I read. I just do not remember where I read it. I'm sure I took a screenshot, but I cannot find it because I take several screenshots every day of random things, buckets, the weather, tickets for, I don't know, flight tickets. So I have a lot going on. But from a layperson's perspective, okay, somebody on here or on one of these videos commented to the effect of they have a significant other that is a stenographer. And according to the stenographer, I mean, a stenographer is in court probably even more than I am, okay? Because they depends on the capacity. Like if when I was a prosecutor, I was in court more often than not because I don't know. Anyways, you guys know I'm always going off on tangents. But what this individual said is that it's hard, or at least let me find the comment because I don't want to paraphrase. Just send a text by email. Yeah, let me find it because I don't want to paraphrase. Hold on, let me find it.
Now I'm going to move to the second location, that at Vista Del Mar in Selma, and I'm going to pre-warn you, it's a little small, it's at a distance, so you're going to want to focus your attention at the top left-hand corner.
I cannot see, like I cannot even see with glasses, but there are people gathering out there.
All right, now let's go over the details. As I said, the people that are involved, the location, and I'll give you an explanation of what you've seen on these two videos. This case takes place in the heart of Hollywood. This is the iconic Hollywood and Vine. The picture you see here is just a demonstrative picture of that intersection, but it's an iconic intersection in Hollywood. That intersection is about one block one block west and one block north of the crime scene. So for those of you who are familiar with Hollywood and that intersection, it's a pretty big landmark, and that's where I want to focus your attention. Now, the actual shooting in this case takes place on a much smaller street, on Selma and Vista Del Mar. But this is the area around where that shooting took place. It is a very densely populated part of Hollywood, and there are some landmarks on there that you might be familiar with, just so that you can familiarize yourself with the location that we're talking about. The Capitol Records building at the top, the W Hotel, and Hollywood Boulevard. The shooting, as you've seen, occurred just outside of a parking lot on that corner of Vista, Del Mar, and Selma. That was a parking lot at the time that was full of cars. And it was ringed by a nightclub on the corner, a sound studio, a hotel, and 3 different apartment buildings right around. As I said, densely populated. This was also Saturday night. Saturday, November 6, 2021, at about 10 p.m. in Hollywood. This is a time that Hollywood is busy. Now that you understand kind of the locations that are involved, I want to start with how this case starts for LAPD.
But so for this case, I've watched primarily the defense opening and not so much the prosecution.
This is the apartment on the corner of Argyle and Selma in Hollywood, and there's just been a shooting.
So at 10:18 p.m., LAPD
Brooklyn, are you saying that you sent me an email? Is that what you're saying?
receives this call, that there's been a shooting at the intersection of Argyle and Selma. The call continues, though.
Did you see anything or you just heard it?
Yes. No, we watched it.
Okay, what did you see?
There were 4 men, and they were kind of fighting as they were walking along Argyle, and then they turned left onto Selma. We heard yelling, and they started running, and they turned left into the...
Brooklyn, what are you referring to? I know you mentioned this individual, and I mean, okay, I don't know. I guess I'll just reply to you. I'll reply to you because I need to know what exactly you're referring to. And I mean, this person that you're talking about, never mind. I'll just reply. I'll reply. Give me a second. I'll reply in about 30 minutes or so.
The back lot apartment for El Centro Apartments.
Now, the 4 men that you see on that screen will be the 4 men that we'll talk about in a minute. They were the 4 that were at that location.
And then someone pulled out, the guy in the black sweatshirt pulled out a gun.
Okay.
And he shot, and I think the guy who shot was in blue.
Now, the evidence in this case will be that the man in the black sweatshirt was the defendant, Rakeem Myers. That evidence will be uncontradicted. As you have heard throughout jury selection, Mr. Myers is an entertainer, and he goes by the stage name.
Yep. Brooklyn, I know that you're here, but I'm saying that I'll respond to your email instead of, airing all that information here. But I'm kind of curious. Now I want to go to the channel. I don't know.
A$AP Rocky. You will hear other nicknames that he is referred to in the evidence in this case, including Flacco and Luigi. At the time of this crime, Mr. Myers was 33 years old.
Okay, I have questions. Why did the prosecution see the need to put up a picture with Rihanna in it? The reason why I'm asking is because, I don't know, as if I was the prosecutor, I'd not use that picture. I'd not, no. The last thing you want is, as a prosecutor, the last thing you want is for them to, is for the jurors to sympathize with this man because of who he's married to. So I don't know why they decided to go with this picture. It's so weird. It's questionable in the sense of she's not on trial. So why is that the picture you decide to go with? Like if she was, I don't know, somebody unlikable, like maybe a Sarah Boone, a Charles Manson, somebody, I understand why you'd want to have Rocky next to that person, but to put somebody up there that's likable makes no sense.
He has his own company that I believe is referred to as AWGE, A-W-G-E, that will also, you will...
Brooklyn, I still would not put her up here. I would not put her up here.
Here referred to in the testimony in this case. And as we talked about, his significant other is Rihanna. The victim in this case is a man by the name of Terrell Efron.
Brooklyn, I'd still not put that up. I would not put a picture of her up there. These people are actually all around the same age.
And Mr. Efron, you will hear, was also a member of the A$AP collective, and he went by the nickname A$AP Relly. Mr. Efron was also 33 years old at the time of this crime. And what you will hear from Mr. Efron is that he was friends with Mr. Myers well before this case and well before even Mr. Myers was a famous individual. That essentially, I believe they met in high school and grew up together. He has known Mr. Myers 18 or 19 years at the time that this shooting happens. And you will also hear that he, too, at the time was working in the music industry, and he had his own company called Shut Eye Entertainment. Now, I mentioned it already, but to put a finer point on it, the group that both of these men were members of is called ASAP. It doesn't stand for what you probably thought it did when you walked into court. It's an acronym for Always Strive and Prosper. It was formed by high school age kids in Harlem, New York around 2006. They call themselves a collective. You will hear are rappers, producers, music video directors, designers, people that have different artistic pursuits that essentially work together. And there are many members of ASAP. The ones that you will primarily hear in this case are obviously Mr. Myers, the victim, but also the two friends that were with Mr. Myers at the time this happened. And they go by ASAP Ills and ASAP 12B. And
I cannot figure out, I mean, you guys know, I think I know how to do it. I think I figured out how to share the screenshot. Hold on, let me do some magic in the background.
just pre-warn you that 12B gets spelled a bunch of different ways. It's not always consistent. And there will be one last member that you'll hear about briefly, who goes by the stage name ASAP Bari. Sometimes people refer to him as Young Lord. As I said,
Brooklyn, I did not skip over it. There is something I'd go back to, I don't know, probably tomorrow or the day after. But I wanted to get into the actual, I need to stop pausing. This is my last pause for the next 30 minutes. But I wanted to start with the, what is this? With the opening.
the four
And
main
I actually did, because that's how I started listening to this, the opening statements. I was in and out on Friday, so I am well aware of the issue.
members of this group that you will hear about
Yeah.
are these four men. The victim is on the far right, Mr. Efron. The defendant is the next person to his left. As I said, ASAP 12B, his given name is Jamel Phillips, and the last is Elijah Ulanger, who goes by ASAP Bills. And these were the four men who were present at the time of both of these incidents. Now I want to take you to that weekend, Saturday night in Hollywood. There was actually at the time a music festival or concert series going on known as Complex Con in Long Beach. And you will hear that Mr. Myers was to be a performer at that event the day after the shooting, the Sunday, November 7th. Now, although I told you that Mr. Myers and Mr. Efron were close at one point, you will hear that throughout their relationship, there was tension between the two of them. And that tension was essentially building up to the night of November 6th, 2021. You will not hear all the reasons why there was tension between the two of them, but we will get to the point the day before this shooting, November 5th, 2021, when that tension kind of comes to a head. But what happens on that day, Mr. Efron will tell you, is that he is in a car with that last member of the ASAP group that I talked about, ASAP Bari. The two of them are driving when ASAP Bari receives a phone call from Mr. Myers. And ASAP Bari takes that call on speakerphone. So Mr. Efron, who's in the car, can hear both sides of the conversation. He can hear Mr. Myers and he can also hear ASAP Bari. And in the course of that call, Mr. Efron, the victim, heard the defendant saying these rude and aggressive things about him. Mr. Mayers at the time does not know that Mr. Efron is in the car with the victim.
What's up, Callie?
This leads to the next day, November 6th,
Hey, Callie girl. I'm just up here trying to catch up.
2021. You'll hear that Mr. Efron was in Los Angeles working with one of the artists that he managed. He was asleep around 9:00 p.m. when he started receiving a series of urgent messages from not only from Mr. Mayers, but from the two other men that were with him, ASAP Ills and ASAP 12. And you'll hear that he received a number of calls kind of back to back to back from the three of them. Now, he didn't answer those calls because he was sleeping, but when he ultimately woke up, he saw that he had a number of missed calls. He also received text messages from Mr. Mayers that were aggressive, seeking a confrontation with him, asking him where he was. Mr. Mayers is on the left side of this conversation. Where are you at? Let's get to it. Stop ducking my calls. The messages that the victim's receiving are instantly aggressive towards him. So you will hear.
Callie's like me, always focused on the wrong details. She said, I keep wondering who does Rocky's hair because it always looks good. I mean, he must get that stuff done like every week or something because it's always very neat. Yeah, so I know Rihanna might be out there. She might be out there braiding that man's hair.
Hear from Mr. Efron that he called the defendant. He was groggy because he had just woken up. They had a conversation and they agreed to meet outside of the W Hotel in Hollywood. Mr. Efron will tell you that as he went to that meeting, he was of the frame of mind that he and Mr. Mayers were going to have a confrontation. That he believed they would argue, and that ultimately this would lead to kind of repairing their relationship. So they would each be able to speak their piece and essentially fight like brothers do, and that it would ultimately bring them closer together.
Brooklyn, do you accept that explanation or not? So apparently this is the reason why he's bringing the text in to pretty much show that, you know, they were ready to make amends.
They would repair sort of the issues that they each had with each other. So that's how Mr. Efron is going into this meeting. Now, let's talk about the location where they meet, this location just outside of the W Hotel. You're going to see this map throughout this case. So I want to take some time to walk through it with you so you understand the various features that are depicted here. On the left side of the screen is Argyle Avenue. On the bottom of the screen is Selma Avenue. And on the right side of the screen is El Centro Avenue. Now you can't see it in this map, but if the map were to continue off the top of the screen, Hollywood Boulevard would be just above that. In the middle of this map, there's a small street called
Brooklyn, why do you think the text killed their case?
Vista Del Mar, that it kind of goes north and then forces you to go east. The red arrows that you see here are the path of travel that Mr. Mayers took that evening. So it starts at that mid-block location on Argyle, continues down to Selma, and then up Vista Del Mar, around that corner, all the way to El Centro, and then he made a left turn on El Centro and went above, off the map. The numbers in the red boxes that you see here, 1, 2, 3, and 4, are the 4 different locations where the police were ultimately able to recover surveillance video from. There are 4 different locations. Attached to each one of those locations, you'll see the green triangle and the green, and with a green arrow in the middle. And what that represents is very roughly, this is not meant to be, exact, but very roughly the direction that a camera attached to that building was facing. You will also hear that locations 1, 2, and 4 captured video only. But you will hear that the location with the number 3 captured both video and audio. So I told you there's 2 incident locations, 2 altercations that happened. The first happens where the yellow box is right now, right outside of that parking garage. The second happens at that corner of Selma and Vista Del Mar. And that's where the...
Okay, so Callie says, hold on. Kelly says I'm late to, oh, I need to put that up there. Kelly says I'm late to the party. Who sent the text? What is the text supposed to show? What I figured that this is text communication between the alleged victim in this case and the defendant. And the text was supposed to show that they were trying to make amends following this, following this altercation. I mean, it's not, it is kind of physical. I wanted to say it's not physical, but that's my understanding of the text message. And then Brooklyn said it's coming on later today in the opening. Right. So between Rocky and Raleigh, ASAP Raleigh is the victim, the alleged, we're going to go with alleged victim, the alleged victim in this case. And ASAP Rocky, Rihanna's husband, is the alleged perpetrator or the defendant. So the charges are from 2021, I believe, I think 2021. And some type of argument or disagreement, or at least this is based on the prosecution's theory. They're saying that these 2 individuals have been childhood friends, and they don't necessarily see eye to eye. And every once in a while, there's a falling out. We're not going to find out what the falling out have been about. Just know that these 2 individuals do not always get along. So during a disagreement, they're claiming that ASAP Rocky basically fired a gun, and the gun scraped, what's his name, ASAP Raleigh's hands or fingers or something along those lines. That's what they're selling.
Firearm was actually discharged, where the gunshots were fired. So the first location I want to focus on is that where the initial confrontation happens. This location is the entrance and exit of a parking structure. This is that parking structure entrance. If you were standing in Argyle and you were facing towards Selma, so Hollywood Boulevard would be to your back. And the entrance is on the left-hand side there. And what you will see in the videos, this parking lot entrance has those hanging indicators on from the roof that tell you how tall the garage is, so that if you are driving a tall car, you don't, of course there's a fly buzzing around me, you don't run your car into the roof of the parking structure. And I point that out because when you watch the video, you'll actually see that red indicator as a kind of a line through the video, so you know what that is. At the mouth of that parking entrance, there are cameras that are facing the sidewalk. Those are the first view that we saw. And these cameras capture the initial encounter between the victim, Mr. Efron, who you see there, and the defendant, Mr. Mayers. And you can see that Ills is the first one to intervene to try to separate the 2 of them.
I think,
and then at the very bottom of the screen, you see
it appears the jury has reached a verdict.
When a defense is raised by the evidence.
Oh, okay, never mind. Jury instructions. I thought the jury had reached a verdict in the Gwinnett County. Is it a Texaco? I don't know, some other gas station. A gas station killing of the coach out there in Georgia. But I think She's just reading. Yeah, I think those are jury instructions.
Shelby putting his hand to try to also intervene and help separate them. Now I know it goes by quickly, and you're not as familiar with all these people, so I want to kind of break it down a little bit for you and show you with the evidence that you're going to receive throughout this case. The first person that you see in that video is the victim, Mr. Efron. The second person who you see, who is instantly confrontational with Mr. Efron, is the defendant, Mr. Mayers. You see on the video that Mr. Mayers is immediately aggressive towards Mr. Efron. He's pulling at Mr. Efron's sweatshirt and he's pushing.
Kelly, that is correct. So Kelly says, wait, is this the case where allegedly the police didn't find the shell casings, but the victim did? Yes, it is. And Brooklyn is confirming it is that case. I am not going to put a lot of emphasis on that. And the reason why I would not do that, it's because from a defense perspective, you'd be very foolish as an attorney if that's what you're solely going to focus on. Why? Because in this case, there's an expectation. There's an expectation that there will be eyewitness testimony. Okay, eyewitness testimony among strangers. There's tons of literature on how unreliable it is. But in this case, where these individuals have known each other for 18, 19 years, you cannot argue mistaken identity. Okay. So in this case, personally, I'm not focusing on shell casings. I don't think, again, prosecution does not need to have a perfect case. It's rare for any prosecution to have a perfect case. In every single case that goes to trial, there are always holes in the case. You have to focus on the right holes. You have to focus on what creates reasonable doubt. And I guess the shell casings could to a certain extent, but I think defense has a bigger problem in this case, which extends beyond the shell casings.
Pushing Mr. Efron backward and pushes him off camera, out of camera view. The third person that you see, as I told you, is Elijah Ulanger, who also goes by ASAP Ills, or he might just be referred to as Ills throughout this. If you look closely, you can actually see his stage name embroidered on the jacket that he's wearing there. And what he attempts to do is to de-escalate the situation, to get between the two men and physically separate them. And you'll see...
Again, it's going to depend on what these folks testify to, okay? The witnesses in this case, from what we understand, they were all a collective at one time. At one point, they were brothers. They got along. It sounded like they were in business together. So their testimonies will depend on where their alliances or their allegiance lies, okay? If these folks are still, if these individuals are on good terms with Rocky, then you have to expect for them to get on the stand and have amnesia. And if these individuals are going to side with Raleigh, then the testimony is exactly going to support Raleigh's narrative. Again, it just depends on what the witnesses actually say on the stand. And that's why personally, from my experience having done both, I mean prosecution and defense, I am not going to focus on a victim collecting shell casings, because you're going to have oral testimony, and oral testimony that's a powerful tool. Okay. I cannot figure out, hold on. I hope I don't mess this up. I found the screenshot. I sent it to my MacBook. I just did not know how to put it up here. Like, how do I put it up here? I think I can upload it. I don't want to mess this stuff up. I'm going to leave it alone. Let me play the video. I'm going to leave it alone.
all three of them go off screen for a period of time. Mr. Efron will tell you that during the period.
This is a criminal case. This is a criminal case. A$AP Rocky is criminally charged.
Period of time that they are off screen is when the defendant first produces that semi-automatic pistol from his waistband. He pulls it out of his waistband and he's holding it to Mr. Efron.
And then again, here we have that 911 call from, it sounded like an unrelated individual. The person that placed the call is not related to any of those people. Again, you have to consider all the evidence as a whole and not, focus on the one thing unless that's all you have. But if there are other holes to poke, then, muddy the water or whatever. But to focus solely on the shell casings, no bueno.
Mr. Efron will tell you that the defendant pointed the gun at his chest and was essentially trying to point the gun around Ills, who was between them. That at the time that he was pointing the gun at Mr. Efron, he was also threatening Mr. Efron. I'm going to kill you. Keep in mind, these men have known each other for a long time.
You guys, I have mediation on Friday. I have like 200 pages to get through between tonight and tomorrow, but it's part of the prep, not the actual, as far as the case is concerned. I know my case. I've had the case for a little, is it over a year or close to a year? One of the two.
And Mr. Efron will tell you, in his state of mind, he never believed that he was going to be shot. He never believed that the defendant would actually shoot him. He will tell you that had this been a stranger, someone he didn't know as well, he would have been petrified.
Oh, no.
As you can imagine, anyone pointing a gun at you would upset you. But he knows the defendant. He knows that Mr. Mayers.
I cannot figure out if my mic is connected or not. Oh no, please let me know if you can hear me. Because I cannot, something's up. I know it's plugged in, but I don't know. I did not light it up. Anyways, let me go on. Brooklyn, are they saying it's not Rocky in the video? Okay, that's what Callie, okay, so Callie says you guys can hear me.
Is not going to shoot him. He knows so much so that he'll tell you he looked at the defendant and said, if you brought a gun, you should shoot it.
All right, thank you, Brooklyn.
That's how confident he is that he knows the defendant is not going to pull that trigger. Now, the fourth person you can barely see on this video as they come back into frame, I told you, is Jamel Phillips, who goes by 12B or A$AP 12. And you can just see his hand at the very bottom of the screen. When they come back on screen, and specifically when Mr. Mayers comes back on screen, you can see the gun in his hand. You will hear that that gun that he's holding is a semi-automatic pistol, or has features that are consistent with a semi-automatic pistol. Right now, as it's paused on the screen, you can see that he's holding that gun behind his back. But you also see the gun come forward in front of his body before he ultimately tucks it back into his waistband. And you will see from the video.
And one thing we're going to have to do is, I have about 15 minutes. One thing we have to do is take a look at the actual statute, okay? That's always the starting point, because we need to know what the specific elements are that the prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
That there were bystanders, as I said, this is a busy Saturday night in Hollywood, walking by as this confrontation is taking place. You will hear that right after that encounter that you saw, that Mr. Mayers walked away and was walking down Argyle towards Selma. Mr. Efron will tell you that as he walked away, he looked over at 12E, Mr. Phillips, and he saw 12E putting a pocket knife away. And Mr. Efron, and then 12E, Mr. Phillips, walked behind the defendant, Mr. Mayers, and Ills walked behind him as well. So the three men that had come to confront Mr. Efron walked away down Argyle towards Selma.
All right. So that's, I mean, I cannot, maybe I need to go back and write all these names down. Hold on. Let's quickly go back because, hold on.
Efron, and then 12E, Mr. Phillips, walked behind the defendant, Mr. Mayers, and Ills walked behind him as well. So the three men that had come to confront Mr. Efron walked away.
Okay, so what I'm getting from this is that all three individuals were confronting the alleged victim in this case. So based, again, my sentiments remain the same. Depending on who they are aligned with, that will pretty much, frame their testimonies. If at present day they have had a falling out with A$AP Rocky, then they're definitely testifying against him. But apparently based on what the prosecution is telling us, they had gone there to confront the alleged victim in this case. And if that's in fact the case, they're definitely not going to testify in a manner that is favorable to the prosecution. And the reason for that is because they would be implicating themselves. Okay. So that's interesting testimony. And then Callie says, so Rocky, Kelly, what time is it over there? I mean, I could Google it, but my hands are tied. Callie says, so Rocky came with two other people and they confronted Rayleigh. That is what the prosecution's telling us. And then Callie says, but if the other two individuals also came with the intention of confronting Rayleigh, why would they stop Rocky? I mean, Callie, it depends. Like if you and I decide, if you and I come to an agreement where we say we're going to rough up somebody, we're going to rough them up, okay? We won't do anything. There's no mention of a gun, right? If we say we're just going to, talk some ish to them, I caught myself, no cussing in 2025. If we say we're just going to, rough the person up a little bit and we go out there and some third individual pulls out a gun, then it does make sense that, somebody would step in and say, okay, this is kind of going too far. Okay, so it's 9:15. Actually, it's not that late. I thought it was much later over there. Is it 5? I guess that is 5. 9 minus 4, is that 5? I think that's 5. Yes, you are 5 hours ahead. I actually never calculated the time difference, but you are in fact 5 hours ahead.
Down Argyle towards Selma. And Mr. Efron will tell you that at that moment, his mindset about the initial confrontation changed. I told you that Mr. Efron will tell you when he first went there, he believed that this was meant to be a confrontation so that they could strengthen their relationship.
Okay.
But having just had
that explains the text message, okay? That explains the text message because again, from what the prosecution was trying to tell us about that text message is that they were trying to make amends, okay? So that's where the text message comes in. So here, Brooklyn, I don't know, has your position changed? Because Brooklyn thought that the text message does not really help the prosecution, but based on what the prosecution is saying here, the context of the text message makes sense.
a gun pointed at him and seeing another friend putting away a pocket knife, that his mindset changed and he understood these men never.
Human beings are very complex, but as far as this friendship, I don't know. I don't understand the friendship.
Came here to try to make
I certainly do not want friends pulling guns and knives and things out of me. I don't, yeah, I don't know.
peace with him. That it was always meant to be a confrontation. And he decided at that moment that
So Brooklyn says, but he asked him for money. As a prosecution, that is not something you can hide, okay? Especially if ASAP Rocky already has the text message, if the text message is in their possession. And that is not, it's really kind of not uncommon for individuals from both sides. It's not uncommon for a potential or suspect. This is before charging. I'm not even going to say defendant. I mean, sometimes down the line too. It is not uncommon for suspects or defendants to offer witnesses money for them to withdraw charges, and it's also not uncommon for victims or alleged victims to, ask for money. In return for not pressing charges. And again, this is how is that any different from a civil suit? Because in a civil suit, in essence, the plaintiff is asking for money.
having a gun pointed at him was sort of a bridge too far in their friendship. And he understood he was probably never going to have the same friendship, especially with the defendant, ever again.
I agree with Kelly. I'm with you on this one because I don't know. No.
And you will hear that as the defendant walked away, Mr. Efron followed behind him and was yelling and screaming at him.
Brooklyn, to the point, I mean, what are people arguing about in general? When you say that everybody has a falling out with friends all the time, I disagree with that. That's because Kelly and I are actually friends in real life. We're friends. I know we live on two completely different continents. She lives in London, but we're friends in real life, and we've been friends since we were 13 years old. We don't fight. There's nothing to fight about. So I cannot. I mean, that might be a reality for a lot of people. I know, Callie, I'm sorry, I had to out you. So I guess relationships can be complex, friendships can be complex. I'm just from, I guess, I have different type of friends. So we don't have anything to fight about. Like, yeah.
Even
Again, my friends and I do not work together. We also do not, we don't run enterprises together. So that might be the difference. We don't have money to fight about. There's nobody one upping the other. We're not dating the same man. So I had to bring that in there. So I don't know. I cannot relate to this type of friendship. That's all.
though he knew the defendant had a gun. Because although Mr. Efron believed this is going to damage our relationship,
I guess sometimes, as for me, I'm too busy parenting, you guys. I'm parenting. I'm giving my man top. I don't have time to be arguing with nobody but my man.
he still never believed that the defendant would actually shoot at him. It's not as if Mr. Efron will tell you that he had some death wish or that he was not scared of guns. He will not come in and say that. What he will tell you again is that had anyone else done this, he would have been frightened. But he had known the defendant for so long and they were close. So he walks down Argyle towards Selma and follows behind.
Isn't Raleigh from New York? He is acting like he's not from New York. We can go through a list of rappers whose lives were taken because at the hands of their own friends. So I don't know what he's talking about.
And the three other men. When they
That man's braids, like, I don't know, where do they start? Okay, that's where they start, but where do they end though? Like, where, I don't know, is this how they braid in Harlem? This man's braids are everything.
get to Selma, they all turn left and they walk towards Vista Del Mar.
Yeah, that hair is mad. Impeccable.
And they end up at that location we talked about, that corner of
This is a clean looking man, okay? There are clean men around here, but this man is clean.
Selma and Vista Del Mar. And as Mr. Mayers stepped off the curb,
Okay.
he walked into frame.
Kelly says that apparently from the group, Rocky was seen as the soft friend, so maybe that explains it. Man, I'm not underestimating anybody with a gun, any type of weapon, even a vehicle. Okay, I am not crossing a road until that person is actually, they've gone. So he probably has more faith. He has more faith. He's more trusting. I'm very distrustful. So um, the person has a gun, so I suppose.
Of the camera at location number 2 that's pointing towards Selma. Now I want to take you, before I play the video again, I want to take you to that corner so that you can see from that night what it looked like. It's a small street with a parking lot immediately adjacent to it that were full of parked cars. And at 10:17 p.m. when they arrived at that intersection, and the defendant stepped off the street corner into view of camera number 2, you will see video from that location. The video that I've played for you already, and I'm going to play for you again, is from that location number 2. You will also see, that's the main.
Brooklyn said that man, he's bald. He's bald under that wig cap.
Video that you're watching. But you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a smaller video on top of it. It kind of has a bluish tint to it. And that video is from another location behind building number 2 where the number 3 is. And the video that you're seeing from that location is identified there by the green arrow. But what's important about that video, because the video does not capture the shooting at location number 3. What location number 3 captures is audio. And it captures the sound of the gun being fired twice. This is the location number 2 where the camera.
Did he just talk about shot spotter, or I mean, I'm not going to rewind. I don't know how they do it out there in Los Angeles. Is that what? Maybe I need to rewind. I'm sorry.
Sound of the gun being fired twice. And it captures the sound of the gun being fired twice. This is the location number 2 where the camera, the video that actually captured that shooting was. You can see the cameras at the very top corner of the building, and it's about 3 properties away from the location that we're seeing. So again, the video is captured at a distance. It's a admittedly grainy video. It's not the most clear that you could possibly have, but it captures enough features that you can identify who is who when you watch this video. So I told you the main video that you're watching is from location number 2, and that smaller location number 3 is in the corner. Before I play the video, I want to orient you to what you're seeing. Along the top is Vista Del Mar. The parking lot is just out of view of the camera at the top of the screen. Along the top left-hand corner is Selma, forms that intersection. The red arrow.
This is unrelated, but the Judge Lauren Lake video from Saturday, the husband and the wife, and that's what they said, the ugly baby, okay, has been living rent-free in my mind. I've thought about that video more often than I should. Like, it's just been playing in a loop.
Is the defendant, Mr. Mayers. And the green arrow is the victim, Mr. Ephron.
Okay.
Okay.
The use of red and green is very intentional. And that does look like firing. Hold on, I need to go back. Let me go back. Go back to the green and.
Okay.
All right, hold on. All right. We have about an hour. We have about an hour to go. And then need to go make my baby some food. Okay. Actually, we're gonna take a break in a little bit. We're gonna take a break in a little bit. During that break, I don't know if I should put on that. No, let me not put on that video because I was gonna I was gonna put on the Lauren Lake video, but if we watch that, no, it's gonna be a mess. So I'll find something else. I'll find what is this channel? No, it's not Lauren Crime. Yeah, I'll find another ASAP Rocky video to play while we are on break. We'll take like a 5-minute break.
Okay.
What's going on? Wait, hold on. I'm trying to follow the
Is
individuals.
the victim Mr. Efron?
Okay.
Okay.
Come on. All right. Okay. There we go. All right. That's the individual. As the saying goes, with friends like these, who needs enemies?
Now, what you see as the video plays is the various cameras on location number 2 switching between 3 different cameras that are mounted to that building. What's important about that towards the end of the video, you'll see as Mr. Mayers is running away from the location,
Okay.
running down Vista Del Mar towards El Centro, he trips a floodlight that's motion activated.
Okay.
And when you watch the video closely, that floodlight is captured by both locations. So location number 2 and location number 3, those cameras each capture that floodlight turning on. And when you watch the videos together, you can see that moment in time when the lights flash on, line up. And that's how you know the sound correlates with the video that you're seeing playing at the same time from a different location.
Okay.
Now, I told you, we all know the video from location number 2 is from a distance. If you zoom in on the area where this incident happened, and we
Sir, what do you mean if we zoom in? You should zoom in. What do you mean? You should do the zooming,
will
okay?
play a zoomed in version of this video, what you see is a very pixelated image. But what even that captures still are the colors the individuals are wearing, which is how you can distinguish who is who on the video.
All right.
You'll see Mr. Efron on the far left. Ills is just next to him.
I always get confused. Which is left, right?
12, who's wearing the red jacket, is just next to Ills. And then the defendant, who's wearing all black, is at the bottom of the screen.
Where?
Again, I understand if you watch this video one time, you may not pick up these features, but as you watch it repeatedly, you'll be able to tell who is who. And you'll
The diagram's a little messy, or the illustrative. It's a little messy, but I
also be able to tell when you watch these.
Almost elementary. I want to say it's almost elementary, but you guys know. Here's what you're gonna know about me. I hate color. I really do. Like, it's making me throw up. I hate bright colors. So this red is it's annoying me.
Because they walk in front of other cameras that are far more clear, that you can easily identify who is who on this video. Okay. So this is the zoomed in version of that incident. This does not have any audio.
Okay. So, okay, that appears to be Rocky, and the alleged victim is somewhere over here. I know there appears to be tussling or something going on. Okay, and then the red appears to be holding Rocky back.
Now,
Yeah, and Callie, I think okay, so we're going back to, if these three individuals had come up with a plan to confront Raleigh, why would any of them break it up? My theory, okay, just speculation. Again, if you guys are in fact friends, right, which they appear to have been, there comes a point where somebody breaks up the fight and says, it's enough, right? So that might be what is happening here, because if we go back, the individual in the red appears to be holding ASAP Rocky back. And again, there's some tussling. There's something going on there.
now, as we play the zoomed in version, you'll also see.
And then for this case, we cannot even really argue age. Okay, a common argument that I like to make when I'm giving individuals the, when I'm explaining some of their conduct away, especially if they're younger than 25, there's always an argument to be made. Hey, the brain's not fully formed. They're immature, this and that. For this, I don't know how to explain this. I don't know how to explain this.
That Mr. Efron is struggling with ills. And what Mr. Efron will tell you is that immediately as the defendant turned and pointed the gun at him, he jumped behind Ills, essentially to put Ills between him and the defendant.
Okay,
And
so
you'll see how
again, with friends like these, who needs enemies? So my understanding is that the alleged victim in this case pretty much used his friend as a shield, but the friend also went out to confront him. So yeah, there's a lot going on.
the video, the defendant lunging one way and then the other way around Ills, trying to get at the victim who is holding Ills in front of him.
Yeah.
Now-
I guess using the friend, using Ills as a human shield. Again, I'm a self-preservationist. You guys know that already. So I suppose if these three individuals, in fact, went out there to only confront Raleigh, then it's almost inconceivable that Rocky would shoot at one of his accomplices or somebody else that he has no real problem with. So,
Despite how dangerous this is, having a semi-automatic pistol pointed at you and discharged twice, you will hear that Mr. Efron was not seriously injured by this shooting.
Yeah.
He has these injuries to the middle knuckle of one of his hands.
he has beautiful fingers. I know. I know I'm always distracted, but I mean, he has, look at those nails.
Mr. Efron will tell you that at the time the shooting was happening, he immediately felt a burning sensation to his hand,
Okay.
which led him to believe that these were graze wounds from one of the bullets that was shot at him. Perhaps they were. Perhaps they were not. Whether or not the victim in this case was actually shot or injured by this will not be something that you have to decide at the end.
All right. So, okay. So basically, what the prosecution is saying is that the graze wounds, or this injury that we're looking at, is insignificant. So it has no real bearing to what their job is. Okay. So that's important to know. Again, but we have to wait for the actual the actual evidence to be presented. So Kelly says, you saying that makes sense. Maybe they didn't come to confront him, but stop it from escalating based on past experiences. I mean, it sounds like they like to go back and forth. So, okay, so this is a good point. Again, we'll be back. I'm just taking I need to take a quick break, okay? Need to take a quick break. I have to feed the Zeta here. Yeah, I'm parenting. I'm parenting. So let me find a short video, like a short clip, because it's not going to be that long. We're going to do probably, I don't know, Just trying to find a video, like a short video. Let me find a short video. I don't want I don't want to have to repeat this video because you guys are just gonna get annoyed with me. So let's go with Court TV. That is loud. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing the screen. Where am I? Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing the screen, and then we are going to hop over to Core TV. It's just gonna be for a minute or two. I need a quick break. Honestly, I need to find like a music video or a song or something. Maybe I should rap or something. use it for my breaks. All right. So no, that's not it. That's not what we want. I cannot see. I think this is it. All right. So this is just a quick intermission. I will be right back. I need to feed my daughter. Okay. Need to feed the baby, and then I'll be right back.
Person who you see who is instantly confrontational with Mr. Efron is the defendant, Mr. Mayers. At the time that he was pointing the gun at Mr. Efron, he was also threatening Mr. Efron. I'm going to kill you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this case is about one man's jealousy, lies, and greed. And that man is not Rocky.
Counsel seeking stop, make whatever job, see no speaking objections.
The trial of rapper A$AP Rocky is off to a rocky start. The prosecution starting off slowly, but the defense coming out swinging. We're getting you all caught up before court resumes. And we've got a traffic stop shooting caught on camera. A man is shot by his own pistol as an officer is removing it from his pants. We'll show you the stunning video. And also this hour, a new law in Arizona is trying to prevent future gang activity, like the one police say killed 16-year-old Preston Lord. Plus, the Ponzi scheme murder trial is back this morning. Could an emotional Natalie Cochran taking the stand tip the scales for the defense? It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements. Good Monday morning to you. I hope you had a great weekend. This is Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. I say the show's kind of like coffee and court because it's morning time. We get all warmed up together and ready to go for the big day ahead on Court TV Live. So let's start it off like we always do. Go ahead, grab that cup of coffee right now. It's time for my opening statement. A friendship, a feud, and a firearm. Those are the three things rapper A$AP Rocky's trial is about. On November 6th, 2021, the friendship between A$AP Rocky and his fellow crew member A$AP Relly turned into a feud that culminated in Hollywood, California with a firearm. Fortunately, both men are alive today. The question for the jury is whether there was anything criminal that happened during that altercation. Now, what I just did was a little sampling of the first part of an opening statement. In just a few sentences, you know the story, right? So I'm going into professor mode a little bit this morning, my friends, because I was stunned at how inefficient and ineffective the prosecutor was in telling their story. He basically tried the case in his open. He was getting into the frame by frame details of the videos in the open. It's an open. Don't overcomplicate it. When I teach opening statements to my students, I tell them to tell me what happened, tell me a great story, and do it in 10 minutes. And guess what? The students learn that it's got to grab the jury's attention fast, and it's got to be better than the other side's story. In this case, the defense, led by attorney Joe Tacopina, told a much better story than the state. I knew within 2 minutes what the story was about. He was saying it was about lies and greed. He painted the alleged victim as a money-hungry liar. And we didn't get to see much of the evidence in this case, so my friends, I'm reserving any judgments on the facts just yet. But judging only the opening statements, I say that Rocky's defense team hands down won the day. That is my opening statement this morning. Let me know if you like it. Right now, I want to give you your daily docket.
Did he like to go to hospitals?
No, he hated them.
What did he tell you about these hospitals?
He considered them to be a waste of his time and that he never wanted to be in one again.
In West Virginia, we've got the Ponzi scheme murder trial for Natalie Cochran starting up at 9 a.m. this morning. She is expected to take the stand. That should be good. In Massachusetts, we've got Penelope McGee with a pretrial hearing at 9 a.m. She has been accused of the crime of manslaughter in the death of her ex-husband. We're following that one closely. And in California, the case I was just talking about, we got motions set to be heard in the trial.
Yeah, I meant to leave it live, Brooklyn. Meant to leave it live. Okay, let me share back. Let me stop. I'm going to stop sharing. Let's get back to the ASAP Rocky. There we go.
Burning sensation to his hand, which led him to believe that these were graze wounds from one of the bullets that was shot at him. Perhaps they were. Perhaps they were not. Whether or not the victim in this case was actually shot or injured by this will not be something that you have to decide at the end of the case.
That's important right there because I've been in and out of, I've been in and out of other feeds where folks were discussing this case, and I like reading the comments. Okay, so again, the two things that I've noticed so far that folks like to talk about: the shell casings that the alleged victim in this case retrieved, and the injury to the knuckles. Okay, here's the thing: when you are with a case, it's a criminal case. Okay, first and foremost, it's a criminal case, so the jury is going to be instructed from a layperson's perspective. These injuries or these insignificant injuries, they might be worth something to the ordinary spectator. Okay, but as far as the law is concerned, and again, I don't know anything about law in California, with the exception of basic federal rules that all states have to follow. Okay, so just based on what the prosecution is saying here, the argument that, or at least some of the skepticism surrounding the injuries that the alleged victim may have suffered in this case, we're finding out it's insignificant. If the jurors in this case are in fact impartial, they're going to follow the law. And if they do follow the law, they know that these injuries it's not something that they have to consider. The biggest problem that I see here for the prosecution, it's going to come down to the witnesses. Okay, it's going to come down to Ills and the other individual. I'm terrible with names. I should have been working with a little pad. So it's going to come down to the credibility of the other two individuals that were present, because obviously, as far as the alleged victim in this case, he's going to testify in line with what the prosecution is alleging, unless he's just out of it. I mean, people can get on the stand and do some really strange things. So Brooklyn says this was taken a few days later in a hospital in New York City. Well, it's insignificant.
We ask you to wait until the end of the case when the judge instructs you on the law, what elements are actually required to be proven before you make any decision. And to listen to the charges specifically and not consider charges that the defendant is not charged with.
Right.
In this case, he's not charged with attempted murder, for instance.
Okay.
Now, before I move on, I want to focus in on the last location that I haven't talked about much, location number 4. That location is a loading dock for this building on El Centro. It's right at the corner of El Centro and Vista Del Mar. And what you'll see in the video from that location is the defendant, Mr. Mayers, and his companion, 12E, walking from Vista Del Mar up El Centro towards Hollywood Boulevard. The arrows indicate their path of travel. They're going to come from that corner and then walk up
Brooklyn, do you have any updates on your family that lives in California? Were they able to make it out okay?
Central. The camera itself is in that red circle. And you'll see this video is far more clear. And you'll see features of their clothing that you can match up to the clothing from the other videos that we've already watched.
That's kind of crazy. I had never imagined, celebrities just walking down the street. I mean, they were doing other things besides walking down the street, but they're pretty casual here, like really casual, just walking on you guys know I live in the country, so my chances of running into a celebrity and now actually no. Yeah. Non-existent.
Match up to the clothing from the other videos that we've already watched. For instance, I mean, you can see just from Mr. Mayor's facial features.
All right, I'm glad to hear that.
That he's the one wearing all black. You can see from his facial features compared to the video from the parking structure. And then, as I said, the various features of his clothing, the rhinestones on the hood of his sweatshirt in both videos, and the rhinestone design on the chest of his sweatshirt at both videos. And taking all the videos in their totality and comparing them is how you'll be able to decide on the video who is who.
Okay.
Now, I played the 911 call for you that LAPD received at 10:18, which triggered their response. And you'll see and hear that at 10:27, LAPD officers responded to the 911 call.
That's
and as is their duty, they responded quickly to this call to try to of shots fired in the middle of Hollywood. You will hear from at least one of the officers who responded to that location. And the officer will tell you that as part of their uniform, they wear cameras that are mounted to their chest. And you will actually get to watch camera that captures the police response. After this shooting, the evidence will be that all four of these men, the defendant, 12E, Ills, and the victim, all left the scene.
All right.
You'll hear that there were at least two people who called 911 to report this crime who were just people living in the surrounding area, not actually involved in the altercation itself. You'll hear that the 911 callers were reporting different information. So the first call would be that the gunshots were fired at Argyle and Selma. The second call will be that the gunshots were fired in the area closer to Vista Del Mar and El Centro. You will hear from the officer that as they responded, they come to the scene looking for a victim. That's their primary focus. Trying to find anyone who needs immediate life-saving attention. Their second focus will be looking for the potential suspects if they can find them. And you'll hear from the officer that as he's receiving information that's taking him to different locations, he's actually going between the different locations and trying to piece together what.
So here, that might be the prosecution's way of explaining the the lack of recovered shell casings. Okay, he's letting the jury know, or the jurors know, that the focus was to I guess find a victim, and the second focus was a suspect.
But what will be important from his testimony is that he is not given a precise location to exactly where this shooting happened. And with limited information.
To me, that is important. You guys know when I watch these trials, I have no dog in the fight. So I am not, listen, you're not going to come on here and find me talking about free somebody. That's not why I watch any of these trials. But the explanation that the prosecution is giving, it sounds credible.
That he has, he and his partners are doing the
I
best.
mean, what he's saying is not testimony, so it sounds like this is going to come through the testimony of, one of the responding officers.
Job that they can to find any victims, any suspects, or any evidence of a shooting. You'll hear the officer talk to different people who were just out and about, try to figure out what was going on, that neither of the 911 callers would meet with them, and that they searched not only the surrounding streets.
So Brooklyn wants to know if I object a lot. It just depends on the case. It depends on the case, and it depends on what I want in and what I want out. So if the opposing side, and it also depends on the other party, because I remember there was a time when I was no Zeta.
Hi.
What a mess. All right, here. Say thank you. Close the door and I want my phone back, please. So there was a time when I was a prosecutor, there was a public defender. The two of us just did not get along. So under those circumstances, we went toe to toe all the time, and it annoyed everybody. So that's how from experience, I could tell you that what Love and I forgot Jeffries, I forgot Young Thug's attorney. The I don't know, he was a tiny man. The one that's recently, Kelly says junior co-counsel. Yeah. He's currently representing Jackie Johnson. Well, I forgot his name. In any event, so that's how I know that type of back and forth does not work. So ordinarily, I steer clear of annoying the fact finder. Sometimes I cannot help myself, but yeah, again, it depends on what I want in, what I want out. Sometimes the opposing side is, making arguments, or they're just, what is this? They're presenting evidence that is not relevant. Sometimes I just let things fly. It just depends on the case.
They primarily focused on the parking lot.
There we go.
Right at that corner of Vista Del Mar and Selma.
Brian Steele, that's the name. You guys know I'm not good with names. I'm not good with names. I'm always messing people's names up.
Because the second 911 caller had told him, or had relayed Mar and Selma on the parking lot that was right at that corner of Vista Del Mar and Selma, because the second 911 caller had told him, or had relayed that it was possible that the shooting was happening into a car. The officer will tell you that they searched the
and this man right here. Never mind. I'll let it go.
area, and they did not find any evidence of a shooting.
He's zooming into his braids.
They didn't find a victim with injuries. They didn't find any of the suspects, and they didn't find any discharged cartridge cases, which are what come out of a gun after you discharge it in the surrounding area. But again, they don't know exactly where to look with the limited information that they're getting.
Again, to me, that explanation makes sense. It makes sense. The explanation makes sense.
You will also hear from Mr. Efron that approximately an hour, and he's not precise on the exact time,
hold on.
approximately an hour after, and he's not precise.
So he is not agreeing. I don't know if he's talking to himself or if he's reacting to the prosecutor, but Rocky is not agreeing with whatever maybe the prosecutor, or maybe it just thoughts of his own, but there's some disagreement happening somewhere.
You will also hear from Mr. Efron that approximately an hour, and he's not precise on the exact.
Maybe he's saying, no, that's not what Efron's going to testify to. Something along those lines.
Time, but approximately an hour after the shooting, he himself returned to the location. Okay. Now, at this time, the police have already responded and left. Mr. Efron will tell you that he and his girlfriend went there specifically to look for
Not the girlfriend. Why are you involving the girlfriend? Like, protect the girlfriend.
evidence that this had happened, evidence of the shooting. And Mr. Efron will tell you, because he knew exactly where the shooting happened, that he was able to locate 2 fired cartridge cases. This is actually a photograph that Mr. Efron himself took of one of the fired cartridge cases that he.
And as far as cases are concerned, right, when it comes to actual evidence, there is no requirement that the shell casing exclusively has to be recovered by law enforcement. There's no such requirement. Or that photographs have to be taken specifically by law enforcement. There's no such requirement.
Mr. Efron, you'll hear, went to the police 2 days later, walked into the Hollywood police station to report this crime happening. He brought the 2 fired cartridge cases with him, and he gave them to the police.
Okay, so what I'm interested in right now, I'd like to know what was happening between the alleged crime and the period when he decided to go to law enforcement. Okay, and again, a lot of things could come into play here, considering their status, considering they've been friends for a significant amount of time. It's one of those things. Do you want to, press charges against your friend? Do you not want to press charges against your friend? What are the folks around you saying? Things of that nature. So that's what I'm interested in at the moment. I want to know what's happening within the 48-hour period. And then Callie says, does this mean we'll be getting a ballistics expert? Experts can be interesting. As far as, again, I focus primarily on the defense. Ooh, the sky's so beautiful. It's like I know it's so random, but it's really beautiful. It's like some pink, a little bit of purple and blue, breathtaking. In any event, it will depend. I've not focused so much on the prosecution's opening. This is the most I've actually listened to it. On Friday, I primarily focused on defense because that's what was playing live when I was not extremely busy. If I remember correctly, I do not know that a gun that matches the shell casings was recovered. Brooklyn, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that's the case here. And then Brooklyn says, Brooklyn says he was blackmailing him for $30 million. Maybe. And then Callie says, is it blackmailing or seeking compensation for emotional distress? Just kidding. But did he really ask for $30 million? Okay, Brooklyn, what are you saying yes to?
You will hear that the 2 cartridge cases that he brought in were 9mm Luger caliber cartridge cases. However, you will also hear from Mr. Efron that immediately after the shooting, about an hour and a half later, he started text messaging the defendant. And he text messaged the defendant, "You try killing me."
Hold on. What is the time frame? I need to go back.
He started texting.
Hour and a half later. Is this after he goes to the police?
Messaging the defendant. And he text messaged the defendant, "You try killing me." That was the first message he sent to him. And you'll hear that Mr. Mayer's response was to deny that anything happened.
So an hour and a half after the shooting. Got it. Why is it not going in chronological order? He doesn't have to, but it's easier for me to follow, but okay.
The defendant, in abbreviation, says, "What the fuck is you talking about? Why are you telling people I shot at you?" Denying that any shooting has even happened.
Got it, Kelly.
Mr. Efron confronts him again. "You set me up to try to take me from my daughter." And the defendant responds, "I tried to do what I know you hate me, I hate you too.
Exactly. I'm like, I don't understand why these individuals we're still trying to hang out together because it's very clear. It is very clear that they despise each other. Okay. Um. Yeah. Like, and this is why I don't understand having conflict with friends or other individuals. Again, I cut people off. I don't have time. I cut people off. I guess this is what happens when you're not cutting folks off because this is unhealthy. This is not, no, this is not a friendship. It's not even a brotherhood. I don't know what this is. These are like frenemies.
The defendant responds again, stop making shit up.
Yeah, I think this is just from the prosecution. I think it's just the way that it's just the way it's too much color for my eyes. But just how they recreated it. They have little text bubbles and everything.
Again, denying any confrontation took place. Certainly any shooting.
And then again, this is for the purposes of the I need my phone. Zeta, let me see my phone, please. The sky is so beautiful. I need to take a picture. So what was I saying? This presentation, I would like to believe that it is, it's a demonstrative for the opening, because if the prosecution tried to bring text messages in like this, defense is definitely objecting. Why? Best evidence rule. Okay. If the actual text messages exist, then you have to produce them, not this little, not their little, I don't know, digital presentation that they've created here. Bring the phone, Zeta.
We have already told you in jury selection, and you will hear evidence.
Brooklyn, what are you talking about? I like who? Who's too young for me? What are you talking about? Wait, what? Let's.
We have already told you in jury selection, and you will hear evidence that after this shooting, Mr. Efron sought money from Mr. Mayers.
So that's good. Okay. Again, that is good. What I like about this prosecutor so far, he does not appear to be hiding the ball. Okay. And by me saying that's good is they brought this out through jury selection. They made it very clear through jury selection that the alleged victim in this case did ask for compensation from the defendant. The reason why you want to bring that out during voir dire is because if there's a bad fact in your case that could sway a juror one way or another, you need to know how jurors will feel about it before they are impaneled. Okay. Again, if I was going to say something else, but let me give you an example. I once had during my time as a public defender, I had a pretty bad case. And what made things worse was the fact that my witness was a registered sex offender. Okay. He served time. He was incarcerated for a pretty lengthy time. And the witness was not my client. Okay. He's just a witness. Just know that he's a witness. Okay. But this was my best chance he was my only hope. Okay. As far as the facts of the case are concerned, I believed what he was telling me. But a person on a jury, a potential juror, might not want to hear from somebody that was incarcerated for a lengthy amount of time and somebody that's a registered sex offender and where the victim of his crime was a very young kid. Okay. So when you have a bad fact like that, you bring it out during voir dire. You ask the jurors whether, if they would give that person's testimony less weight just because of the underlying or their prior conviction. Okay. And then you push it even further and say, under these circumstances, because we had a priest, the case was crazy. We had a priest down the line that could help us get our timeline together. Okay. So the priest would be able to vouch for the witness who's a registered sex offender, as well as my client. So during voir dire, you have to pry the potential jurors. You ask them if it makes a difference if a priest can vouch for this individual that has such such a disturbing criminal history. So I like the fact that they brought it out in during voir dire, and that's because it minimizes the sting. While the average spectator is focused, especially Brooklyn, because Brooklyn is focused on, like, Brooklyn is really honed in on the fact that Raleigh asked for compensation. So that's information that you need to get out from the onset. Okay. You don't want to, get through opening, get through the trial, and that be the one thing that sticks with the jury. So the hope is that the prosecution was able to, get some, or all the parties really were able to impanel an impartial jury. And if that's in fact the case, and if the fact that, I would have liked to know what kind of questions they asked, though. That would have been, yeah, I'd have liked to know what kind of questions they asked, as far as, the semi-extortion. So what did Kelly said he was what? I know I lost your message. Oh, right. The seeking of compensation. There we go. What's up, Jason? Okay, so Brooklyn wants to know, do I like Rocky? What do you mean, do I like Rocky? Of course I like ASAP. I really do like ASAP. Favorite song has to be a Lamborghini High. That's a very good song. I need Zeta to bring my phone. That's a good song. The intro of that song it's fire. Okay, it's fire. They sound like they're in a bodega. They're talking about fashion. Yeah, I like Rocky. I like Rocky. I mean, it goes beyond just ASAP. Oh, I love fashion. It goes beyond just ASAP Rocky. I think I like all of them. And I know you were in here since the beginning of Brooklyn, but there was these people every once in a while they find themselves in the news. But that time there's this kid, Ian Connor, I think is his name. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say he's from Georgia, but I might be mistaken. Anyways, look him up. He's he's affiliated with them, but he's not necessarily part of ASAP mob. But I do like ASAP Rocky. Okay, so Kelly says he's not shying away from the facts, which is good. That is fantastic. Yep. That is fantastic. And then Brooklyn says he's preempting. And then again, big shout out to Jason. All right, let's get on.
In fact, right, hours after the shootings, this is the next day, November 7th, in the early morning hours, 3:40 a.m., you'll hear that Mr. F.
Okay. Maybe should I let them read? No, I can read them for myself. Okay. Perform what? Why are they still performing? Why are they still doing business together?
Ron sent a message to one of his friends saying that he wants money.
And here's the problem with text. Like, I don't text. Text, I don't text. Again, I'm not getting shot at or shooting people, but yeah.
Identifying the reason why he wants.
Let me just say this. The only time I put things in writing are things that I actually want proof of. Other than that,
that money is because Mr. Mayers shot at him.
Right.
You will also hear that based upon these two incidents, the parking lot and the shooting on the corner, that Mr. Efron filed a civil lawsuit against Mr. Mayor.
There we go.
At the end of this case, you will not.
There we go. because again, I have not heard all of the prosecution's opening. Okay, this is the most that I'm hearing from this. But again, I said that the victim or the alleged victim in this case asking for money is no different from filing a lawsuit. So uh, to me, I don't. It's insignificant to me.
Be asked to award Mr. Efron any money.
And then again, I'm not a lay person, so that's a difference.
So that consideration will not be a part of your what you're asked to determine. Moving forward in time, you'll hear.
Why would I be texting my client the result of the trial? My client's right there. My client's right there. If I hate texting. This is the. Ooh, that reminds me. I need to send these folks my phone bill for 2024. This is the first job where, apart from when I worked for legal aid and apart from COVID, when I've had, folks email me, not email me, but text me, because I call often from my cell phone number. I don't like you text me. I'm not texting you back. I'm calling you. I'm calling you. And after that, I'm sending you an email to, advise you or basically capture what I just advised you of. And I'm printing that out and putting it in your file. I'm not texting you. No.
From Ellie.
Again, let's not forget that in that, is it Arizona? Gutierrez, what's her name? Hannah Gutierrez. There was a big problem in that case when it came to the text messages between the defendant and the attorney, right? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of those text messages had to be produced. So I'm not texting. I'm not texting nobody. Kelly says a text thread is so weird, or folks are used to the toxicity, because how are they talking about performing when someone just told you that they got shot? I know. That's why I'm saying, with friends like these, who needs enemies? Okay, who needs? I don't know. This is a different form of friendship or brotherhood that I am not accustomed to.
Detective.
There are a million ways of living and dying.
That Mr. Mayer's home was searched on April 20th of 2022. And that during that search, LAPD detective recovered a magazine for a.
The sunset is absolutely breathtaking. I wish I could take a photo, but Zeta's not bringing my phone. But it's gorgeous.
Semi-automatic pistol that was 9mm caliber.
And Jason, if you're still here, did you have a good day, or was it just a Monday? Are you just ready to get the week over and done with? How's your day?
And that it was loaded with 6 unfired 9mm Luger rounds of live ammunition.
Oh no, Kelly Brooklyn has a question.
You will hear that these items fired 9mm, and that it was loaded with 6mm semi-automatic covered a 2022, and that during that search, LAPD detective recovered a magazine for a semi-automatic pistol that was 9mm caliber, and that it was loaded with 6 unfired 9mm Luger rounds of live ammunition.
Okay.
You will hear that these items were found in Mr. Mayer's
Yeah, I need to know the connection though.
bedroom closet. You will also hear that there was no handgun that was 9mm in Mr. Mayer's home that was for that magazine. So you have a 9mm magazine.
Got it. So that's the connection. That is the connection. Okay. All right.
No handgun to go with it. The last point I want to leave you with before I conclude is that we expect in this case that
Basically, the prosecution wants the jury to infer that the missing firearm must be the firearm that was involved in this crime.
the defense will call 12B, Mr. Phillips, to testify. At the time of the shooting, again, he's 12B, Mr. Expect, in this case.
Okay, let's think about that for a little bit. The missing firearm. And I mean, that is not unheard of. There have been folks convicted of murder with no weapon, okay? With no weapon, never recovered. But the inference that the prosecution wants the jury to draw, I mean, it's interesting. I don't see how. Okay, I'll leave it at that.
That the defense will call 12B, Mr. Phillips, to testify. At the time of the
Okay, so Mr. Phillips is one of the individuals. I guess that's the individual that had the red sweater or hoodie or something on.
shooting, again, he's friends with all these participants. He's 32 years old. And it is expected that he will testify that the defendant was in fact the person on the video who fired the 2 gunshots that we hear. So it will essentially be uncontested that Mr. Mayers was the person who fired.
That's interesting. That's interesting. That is if he does in fact testify with that in line with that expectation. That is interesting. Now I like to wait until all the evidence is presented, which I'm going to continue to do. But the case is getting even more exciting than I thought. I thought this would be a boring case. If I'm being honest, okay. I was more excited for the Jackie Johnson case. I don't know why the case is not being live streamed, but it's not being live streamed. But I have been trying to, read articles. That's why I moved that live to Saturday, because I think by the end of the week, we should have enough information to actually, create a video. And then Brooklyn said he had a license to carry. That does not matter. Kelly says, Brooklyn, are you talking about the friendship aspect? Yeah, okay. So you guys are talking amongst yourselves. But okay, so this is interesting because if the defense is going to call a witness who was present at the scene that is going to testify that A$AP Rocky in fact fired those shots, then the fact that this man asked for money is insignificant. This man, I mean Raleigh. The fact that the alleged victim in this case asked for money, insignificant. The fact that he has some bruises on his fingers or whatever, insignificant. The case is definitely getting getting interesting.
The gun at that street corner, and that he will tell you the gun that the defendant fired was a starter pistol.
That's I don't know. Again, that's important. Okay, now I'm questioning the defense. All right, hold on. I'm questioning even now if we are going to hear that if the testimony, I don't know. Now I'm questioning this defense. If the testimony is that is a starter pistol, we need to look at the statute itself. Okay, we have about, I don't know, it's like 5:21. I'd like to, take a shower, get out of my work clothes, and I have to do a little bit more reading because I have mediation on Friday. Hopefully the case settles. If it doesn't settle, then whatever. If it doesn't settle, then we just have to move on to the next stages. But it's always good for a case to settle because then I get to move on to more cases. But yeah. I don't know. It's getting interesting. Let's get in here.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is what the evidence in this case will show at the end of this case. As I've said, we expect that the defense will attempt to present an alternate
I don't know. That's okay. So Callie says, "What is a starter pistol?" I have to go to Google here. Let's see. Here's the one thing about me. I absolutely Guns and we don't get along. I had a trial once in my very beginning, one of my very first cases. Um, Now that I think about it, was it an armed robbery? Was it a burglary? I don't remember. It was some case. I don't remember because this was over 10 years ago. But I had to handle I think it was a shotgun or something in the case. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I hate guns. Okay. My mom was a police officer. And my parents were in law enforcement. And I would see guns every once in a while, but I cannot stand them things. Cannot stand them. Cannot stand them. I don't get in relationships with people with guns. I had a friend who moved to I had a friend that who moved to Florida, and for the most part we had similar views. So I thought we had similar views on a lot of things. So the girl moved to Florida, and then she joined some organizations, and then down the line, the girl is out here carrying firearms as well. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know that I can come to your house anymore because so many things can go wrong, especially if you have little kids around. Somebody does something stupid. Uh, I don't mess with guns. I don't mess with guns. Anyways, did I answer the question? I got distracted. Let's go back. So a starter pistol is apparently a small gun that makes a loud noise instead of firing bullets and is used for starting races. Okay, that's what they're that is that I know I have questions. And I have concerns about that defense. Okay. Based on that defense, it's signaling, or at least deducing two things from that. Okay, the one that I'm looking at, that argument only really makes sense if the prosecution has to prove that ASAP Rocky was in possession of a real gun. Okay, if that's part of the elements, and that's why when I get off here, I'm actually going to take a look at the statute. Okay, because on here I cannot share my screen, otherwise I'm going to leak my information. I've not been able to figure out how to get on, like how to carry out a search while I'm sharing my screen and not, leak my email, because my email just pops up randomly. I don't know why, but it does. Um, so Brooklyn is so funny. Brooklyn, I delivered my graduating class's commencement speech. Okay. So again, I'm giving too much information. Never mind. I should have never said that Kelly and I actually know each other in real life, but we do know each other in real life. Oftentimes when I come up here, I'm tempted to actually say your real name and not Kelly, but I think I've done a good job. I've done a good job of not unmasking you. So yeah. What was I saying? Okay, so that's signaling their focus on the starter, gun or pistol. To me, it's signaling that either the prosecution has to prove that ASAP Rocky was in fact in possession of a real gun, or the other thing that I'm getting from this, which is not good. The other thing that I'm getting from this is that the defense is stuck. Okay, if they are stuck, then that is problematic, because ASAP Rocky is facing 24 years incarceration. So okay, I know. Let's listen to the I don't know. I have questions about I have questions about their defense. That's gonna make me go down a rabbit hole and try and look up cases in California where this defense was raised.
Alternative explanation for.
And again, if it, there were four individuals, let's not forget there were four individuals present at the scene. Okay, so as far as Rocky's concerned, he is not required to testify. Okay, he's not required to testify, so we're pretty much going to exclude him. When it comes to the witness or the alleged victim in this case, the focus is going to be on whether he's able to distinguish between a starter pistol and a real firearm. Okay, if you can make that distinction. We've heard that, you know, the one of the individuals, the one that's still good friends with Rocky, is going to testify that this was a starter pistol. Again, it's imperative to know how he's able to identify that. How does he know that this was in fact a starter pistol and not a real firearm? Is he an expert? Did Rocky tell him that it was a starter firearm? Like, where? I don't know. We're going to need to know that information. But again, there's going to be, I'm hoping, a fourth individual that's going to testify. And it sounds like they're going to testify for the prosecution. And again, if they do testify, it goes to the, the firearm, in fact, and if it's, what is this? A starter firearm? Is it a real firearm? And how do they know that? So it's interesting. That's a good aspect. Hey, Laugh. Laugh is here. Laugh, always have fun. Hey, girl, how's your day? Did you have a good day? What's going on? I started early. I started early today. I got a lot of my hours in around 3:30. I already had my 8 hours in, so I could, I did not have a lot to do later this afternoon, so I started early. Let's see.
Or what happened that night. But we ask you to do one thing, which is, as you evaluate the evidence from both sides in this case, to not leave your common sense at the door.
All right.
And wait until the end of the case, when you have all the evidence, to make your decision. Listen to the court's instructions on the law, and return the only just verdict there is. Thank you.
All right, folks, we'll take the break now. Please be out.
So I thought that was a solid opening. Okay. I thought that was a solid opening. Again, I did not get the prosecutor's name, so I have to go find the name. That was a solid opening. He's not shy. As far as his bad facts and the problematic areas of the case or the prosecution's case, he identified those from the very beginning. He put them on the forefront. So, we should not expect any real surprises, but you never know what these people are going to say on the stand. Let's see. I just want to read the rest of. Okay, Brooklyn says, I believe it's a prop gun for his music video. That really, it's pretty much insignificant unless the prosecution, in fact, has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that A$AP Rocky was, in fact, in possession of a gun. If that is the requirement, if that is an element of the felony assault that A$AP Rocky's facing, that it makes a difference. Otherwise, it does not. Think about it from this context. Some individual enters a convenience store with, what appears to, basically, they just, what is it called? There's a specific term for it. Hold on. My mind is all over the place. There's a specific term for it. Forgot the term. It escaped me. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get out this live and I'm like, dang it. That's the word. But imagine an individual entering a convenience store, pretending to have a gun, and they're grabbing at their waistband, okay? And they rob the convenience store of, I don't know, $200 or whatever is in the cash register, okay? The fact that this individual did not produce a real gun, that does not excuse their conduct. That does not create reasonable doubt as to whether they in fact engage in the conduct that they're accused of. So from a legal standpoint, it's only really going to matter if this was a prop or a real gun, if it's an element of the crime that A$AP Rocky is charged with. So let's see. Oh, Callie, thank you, thank you. Callie says I'm smart. I actually think, not even that I think, I know for a fact that Callie is much more smarter than I am, at least as far as academics is concerned. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, 24 years is a long time. So I'm hoping that the defense has a solid, again, it's the prosecution's burden, okay? It's a prosecution's burden. But from a liberty standpoint, if ASAP Rocky gets convicted, his attorney is going to walk out of the courtroom. He probably is not, okay? I've seen some, things circulating and swirling on the internet, folks talking about that a prosecution offered him 180 days because they think that they have no case. I don't think so. Again, most attorneys do, on the exception. I love going to trial. I love going to trial. Um, yeah, some folks, but again, I'm kind of the exception because I am not the win. Some folks think they're winning whatever. Like, for me, what matters is putting on a good argument, even when the facts are terrible. Okay. Some folks think they can win all cases. The prosecution wins most of their cases. That is just a fact. It's a statistic. So my main concern here is that if they don't have a real defense, if they cannot use, oh, and I was going to say this, um, his stardom may have played a factor into the offer that was extended to him. Okay. Over and over again, you'll see that, celebrities and wealthy folks, they don't get the same offers that ordinary people get. Okay. Their status kind of, follows them even in courtrooms. So they're probably more favored as opposed to just ordinary people that are Walmart greeters and, I don't know, folks that work at H&M, work at convenience stores, work at chicken plants. Okay. So I think the fact that he is a celebrity and, he probably employs some people, he's a superstar. Okay. That may have played a factor in the offer that they extended to him. So I don't think that they offered, they made an offer because they have no real case. The fact that the claimant in this case, not the claimant, I'm talking about claimant. That's completely different. That's under criminal law. The fact that the alleged victim in this case asked for money, that may have been, it may have been a bit of an issue. But if that's something that was brought out during voir dire, and if they were able to impanel an impartial jury, then that is kind of going to become insignificant in this case. Because here's the thing about an impartial jury. An impartial jury will listen to the judge. An impartial jury will listen to the law. And if the law says convict, they're going to convict. If the law says acquit, they're going to acquit. So I just hope, again, I'm going to take a closer look at the charges here because defense is kind of problematic. The defense that they're raising is pretty problematic. And then Brooklyn says, I believe they're very close to an alpha plea with 180 days and 3 years probation. And then Callie says, so is Rocky's team saying it wasn't him or that he was only carrying a starter pistol? So Rocky's team is basically saying that is my client. That is my client that's on camera firing at this victim. But what we're saying is that this was a starter pistol. So again, I think that it only makes sense if that's in fact an element. So we're going to have to take a closer look at that. Listen, my girl Laugh is back, okay? And she's saying 4 people need to hit that like button. She wants somebody to hit the like button. Brooklyn, they're saying that it was him, but Rocky is the victim. And then Laugh says, I'm good, just got through with payroll in the computer. Now I'm fixing to make the schedule for tomorrow and clock out. Yay! Laugh. In a few years, I'm going to need a payroll person. So maybe you can help me out. Maybe I can hire you on the side. Okay. Maybe I can hire you on the side and you don't have to be driving out there in the snow. Enjoy. I don't know that it's going to snow in Georgia again, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not for, I don't know, but the weather's weird and there's global warming and all types of things. All right. So Love says, please hit the like button in order to show your support to ESO. Hit that thumbs up. The button is free. I don't know. Do you have these things already? Do you have these things already? What is this? Typed up, or do you just copy and paste? Like, what's going on? And then Love says people have to hit the like button. Okay. No, I'm serious, Love. In a few years here, I'm gonna go out on my own, so I'm gonna need somebody to do my books. I know that I'm gonna hire somebody. Maybe in a few years I'll have to hire a paralegal, but I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people that what is this? I like doing things on my own. All right, so Just Lee. Hey, Just Lee. She said, "Good evening, all first timer." Okay. Well, welcome. And I think somebody just raided me over here. I see Flesh of the Gods. I see Survivor. What is Brooklyn saying? What just happened here? I know. I'm like, what just happened here? Like, what's going on? What going? And then Survivor Speaks says, "Hey, SO." Okay, so this is the Survivor Speaks raid. Okay, well, I appreciate it. I appreciate the raid. What's up, Flash? We have Tatiana. Hola. We have Tatiana in here. And then we have Chloe Albert's Revenge. And then Chloe says, hit the like, hit the like button, or burglars with OCD will break it and take all your left shoes and right socks. That's kind of crazy. I mean, that would actually be really wild if somebody did that. And then Kendra Haynes. Okay. So Kendra Haynes, first timers. Hey, I appreciate you guys. Big shout out to my girl Survivor. If you ever come, if you came over here on the SS Survivor Speaks raid, please hit the like button. All right. So I love seeing you guys here. I mean, this is insane, right? What I mean by insane is because when I came back on YouTube, the first time around, I did YouTube for a little bit and then I disappeared. I was a public defender, so I was very busy. Okay. So I disappeared. When I came back on YouTube, I did not expect to form the friendships that I have, that I've formed with you guys. So that's just, my goodness. I cannot thank you guys enough. Okay. So I was about to leave, but let me recap. I'll stay on a little longer and let me just recap my thoughts. I'll be back live tomorrow. Today I started around, I don't know, 3:30. I don't know, Brooklyn, tell me. When did I start this live? I'll probably start around the same time again tomorrow. The reason for that is because, sure, I have work, but I go to work very early. So, yeah, I just go to work early. I'm usually at work before 7. And if I bill a lot of my hours, I should be good on time come around 3. So tomorrow, I'm just going to say I'm going to start around, let me say 3:45 to be on the safe side. Okay, 3:45. I'm probably going to really start around maybe 3:20 or 3:30. But here is what we discussed today. So we went over the, what is this? I have brain fog. I had COVID, you guys. I have had COVID twice. This morning, as I was taking a shower, I was like, I don't want to jinx myself, but this is kind of the first time when I've not had, this is the first time that my coworkers did not give me COVID. Okay. I don't want to jinx myself, but I have long COVID. So I get a lot of brain fog. It's improved. But I do forget oftentimes. Oftentimes I have to pause because I have COVID brain or whatever it's called. So I do get a lot of brain fog. So here's the recap. Today we watched the prosecution's opening statement. Okay. Prior to this, I had just watched part of the defense, and then I also watched what Flesh of the Gods had on Friday. Okay. Um, Coming in here, I had read a few. I love comments, so I'd read a lot of the comments on, on Law and Crime, on Core TV. Obviously, discussions in Flesh of the Gods live. Um, but I have not actually watched the prosecution. They bear the burden of proof. So it's important to know what it is that they're going to present. Okay, so for folks that are joining for the first time, I am a licensed attorney. I started out as a prosecutor. I'm just gonna say over 10 years ago because I'm I'm not good with numbers. So it is over 10 years ago because my kid is 10, but I was a prosecutor before she was born. I was a prosecutor for a little bit. I did public defense for a little bit. Right now, I do workers' compensation and personal injury, so I do civil work. But I've only been doing that a little over a year. I think I am going to get back into prosecution because I've decided that I'm going to join the CGA panel. What that is, basically, I get paid to represent. What is this? I get paid to represent indigent criminal defendants, but at the federal level. So I'll be in federal court. There's a whole bunch of training and things that I have to do before I actually qualify for that. But I'm underway. I've been doing a lot of that. I anticipate that I'm going to be doing that around September. I'm still doing a whole lot of training and stuff, but yeah. In any event, so when I watch these trials, I have no dog in this fight. Okay, you're not going to hear me scream free anybody because that's not why I watch the trials. I watch them primarily to assess the arguments that both parties are making, and if they make terrible arguments, I'm going to talk about them. Okay, the same way I talked about what's the man's name. I'm terrible at names. Brooklyn, help me out. The man that represented Gotti, whatever his name is, he was a terrible attorney. Okay, he was terrible. I could tell from the very beginning that he had zero experience with criminal trials, and he showed, and he later on ended up admitting it. So I do criticize attorneys a lot on here. As far as the actual defendants, I spare them. I spare them because those are my people. All right. In any event, so coming in here, there were concerns raised about, the shell casings that the alleged victim in this case recovered and turned over to law enforcement. There were concerns about possible extortion and Rel asking for money. There were other concerns about, the graze wounds or the injuries to the knuckles, things along those lines. Coming in here, to me, the real hurdle for the prosecution in here was the witnesses, the folks that were present. Okay, the four individuals: ASAP Rocky, Rel, the guy in the red jacket. I forgot his name. I'm terrible with names. And somebody, Ills, somebody. So what we found, because to me, again, if there's a comment that I read, I've not. Honestly, Survivor, hopefully you're able to help me out, Flash. I need somebody to give me a tutorial on how to actually present stuff on here. Okay? I could do it another way, but I do not want to expose or leak my. Am I still sharing? Yeah, I don't want to leak my information because every time I've tried to do that, my email address pops up. And not my fake email, because I want a real lawyer gmail.com. That's a fake email. Okay. I have I have a real email with my name, and that just pops up randomly. But there was a very interesting comment that I came across. I came across that comment. I think it was on Friday. Anyways, I cannot find it anymore. But the comment was interesting. But I did take a screenshot of the comment. How do I minimize this? Oh my goodness. I'm challenged when it comes to technology. I found the comment. The only problem is I don't know how to bring it up here. But here's what the comment said. It said this again. It's a screenshot I took on my phone. I don't know how to bring it up here, but I'll figure it out tomorrow and then I'll put it up here. But I don't want to leak any of my information because I'd like to come up here and remain a miss. Okay. Anyway, so this individual, it's Eric Bryant, DZ8MJ. They said, my ex-girlfriend was a stenographer. She said she's never seen anybody beat a case when a witness or especially the victim points at the defendant and says, this guy did it, especially with women on the jury, it's just so powerful. And that's exactly, those are my sentiments as well. Okay, I've done a lot of trials, so more trials. I don't know if I've met an attorney that has had as many trials as I have. Okay, I mean, I'm pretty sure somebody out there exists, but I do have a lot of trial experience. And um, again, there are a few things that come into play. The most important thing is an impartial jury. If you have an impartial jury, that is a jury that's going to listen to a judge, and that's a jury that's going to listen to the evidence. That's a jury, if the jury instructions lead to convict, they're going to convict. If the jury instructions lead to acquit, they're going to acquit. So that's what you want. You want a jury that listens, okay? The other thing, so again, we're dealing with superstars. We're dealing with superstars in this case. So things could go one way or another. If ASAP Rocky was able to get a fan, or if Rihanna was able to get a fan that just, snuck onto the jury somehow, then it kind of puts the case in a different posture. But my real concern with this case is the testimony from the actual witnesses, the folks that were present at the scene. So obviously the individual in the red jacket, it sounds like they're going to, I'm terrible with names. I really need to start writing this stuff down. Based on what the prosecution said during its opening, they expect that individual to get on the stand and say, yes, that was ASAP Rocky in the video. That was ASAP Rocky that fired, the gun. But the defense argument is that this was a starter gun and not, whatever gun that the prosecution is claiming, because I think they're claiming that it's a 9mm or something. And then Kelly on here asked what a starter gun was, and I looked it up. I need to hold on. Let me just find it again. And one thing about me, I don't know. I know enough about guns to the point where I can distinguish between shell casings, a magazine, this and that. I have a forensic, I need to pull out that forensic medicine book. I have a forensic medicine book. So those are things I needed to know as a prosecutor, but it's not, I hate guns. It's not my thing. So in any event, so a starter pistol is a small gun that makes a loud noise instead of firing bullets and is used for starting races. Okay. That is what the defense is claiming. That's their defense here. Okay. To me, it signals two things. The one thing, either the defense is in real trouble, or the other one, an element of this crime is that the prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that ASAP Rocky, in fact, had a real gun. So we're going to, I'm going to take a closer look. Once I get off here, I'm going to take a closer look at the actual statute, because again, I'm challenged when it comes to technology. I don't know how to pull up that stuff without, publishing everything that is on my screen. To me, the real issue again here is the testimony that's going to come from the individuals that were at the scene. I do not expect ASAP Rocky to testify. If he testifies, that's real foolish of him. Okay, that's going to be real foolish of him. I'm trying to think of a witness, not a witness, a defendant in recent history who has taken the stand and exonerated themselves. I cannot think of one. We go back to, what's his name again? The guy out of, was it North Carolina, South Carolina? The attorney, what's the guy's name? Alec, I think it was murder or something. That guy could have easily had a hung jury, but he decided to get on the stand and he hung himself. We go back to, it just never ends well, okay? And in any event, he does not have to self-incriminate, so don't take this. The real testimony here, my time is going up. How do I take this off? Oh my goodness. Girl, what? Okay, I closed the page. I don't know how to, I did not know how to stop that. But let me see. Let me take a look at these messages. Tatiana says you guys need to hit that like button, okay? What's up, Jazzy? How you doing? Okay, Chloe says the prosecutor's a crybaby. I'm going to call him. I don't know who Why do you think he's a crybaby? I thought the prosecutor did a fantastic job. And what I mean by that is because he's not afraid. I don't I don't listen. If you're, thank you, Brooklyn. Yes, it is Doug Weinstein. If you're going to go to trial, I don't want you to be afraid. So what I liked about what he did is that he was not afraid to put forth the bad facts in this case. So I thought that was brilliantly done. Okay, let's see. I don't know. I don't know. Let me leave that alone. Jasmine, I am not entertaining you. Leave Brooklyn alone, okay? Brooklyn has been riding with me today from the very minute that I got in here, even when it was just Brooklyn and I, and then Callie joined. So I'm not gonna let you. I'm not gonna let you mess with my subscriber, okay? Um, okay, so he's saying that the try not to whine. Let's see. LELW Esquire says, been doing it for 20 years. You like working in federal court much better. Oh, okay. Well, I'm very excited. I am excited. I'm excited. Let's see. Oh, FFS is here. Look at you. Why aren't you working, FFS? What happened to your job? Why aren't you working? Brooklyn, what are you saying? Okay, so Brooklyn wants me to. Bravo. Thank you. Thank you. That's exactly what I'll do. That's exactly what I'll do. Okay. So what I'm gonna do tomorrow, again, I'm gonna start early because I'll be at work early. I'll be at work. I don't know. My plan is always to be at work before 7. So I usually get there like, I don't know. Again, I live 5 minutes away. So 4 minutes when there's no traffic. So tomorrow I'm just gonna say, to be on the safe side, let me say 3:30. Okay, I'll schedule a live for 3:30. 3:30, we get into the defense opening and whatever else it is that they have for Wednesday. Wednesday, oh shoot, I have to go pick Zayt up. Wednesday, I think we start at 6. I know that's usually earlier than I start, but Wednesday, let's start at 6. Again, I have to clean up a lot of my channel. Okay. I have to clean up my channel. There's a lot that I have to. It's just a lot. I'm going to be deleting over 9 million views. I'm not happy about that. But I've done it once. I know I can do it again and a third time. So, all right, folks. As for the Survivor Speaks Raiders, I appreciate you guys. My co-consuls, thanks for, listening to me ramble. I've been on here for almost 2.5 hours. I'm going to call it a night. I want to start pre-recording some videos. You guys know I will be in Cuba. I just hope Donald Trump doesn't mess my plans up. But I'll be in Cuba end of February, and I have a lot of work stuff going on. So I need to start pre-recording my videos and just having them scheduled in time for February, because who's this? Diggy is going to threaten me if I disappear again for another 2 weeks, and I don't want to upset you guys. Okay. All right, folks, it's been fantastic. Shout out to everybody in London. Okay, I appreciate the support. I don't know what happened to Greg, but Greg, I need you to come back. All right. I need Greg. Kelly, if you see Greg out there in the streets, tell him that I need him back. Okay. And then Chloe says, I need to go. I know I always say I need to go, but I really need to go. But I'm going to read this and then I have to go. Okay. Tatiana says, have a beautiful night. I hope you guys all have a fantastic night. I have a little bit more of reading to do, but I do plan on, I have some YouTube stuff to do. I have to figure YouTube out. Like I really need to figure YouTube out. Let's see. Okay. So apparently, who's this? I don't even want to say his name, so I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to say his name anymore. What's this? Apparently, he's not going to mess. I think he's going to mess my plans up, but we'll see. All right, folks, it's been Swirl. I need to go. Tomorrow we start 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. All right. Bye.